This episode of Prone to Ponder is brought to you by Life Community Church, Alexandria. If you are interested in learning more about Christ, reach out to us on our Connect page at lifeccalexandria.org/connect. Take a look at our show notes to learn more about our church. Now, on to the episode. All right, thanks for coming back to us. I don't know what episode this is. We've been doing it for a while. We'll say around 7, 8. I think it's 8.
Yep.
8. Okay, episode 8. We're going to do generosity. Part 2. There's a lot to cover about that. Again, we're in Alexandria, Virginia. This is This is Life Community Church.
Trying to give us a new name?
That was a church we used to go to back in the day.
You're trying to rebrand us? Like, it's on the podcast. That's the church name now.
Sorry, guys.
I'm so sorry, guys. I made a big mistake. Yeah, the problem is, when you travel with the military and all that, just life. In Texas, there's a church I went to for like 3 or 4 years. Really liked it. Restoration, if you're in Benbrook, Texas. Restoration, shout out, Restoration Family Church.
Blame the military.
RFC, and then we are LCC, right?
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
That's true.
So anyways, we're here on the Prone to Ponder podcast, and this is Pastor Ryan to your left, my right. This is Pastor Reed to my left, your right. And again, we're in Alexandria, Virginia, and we're just going to cover a few things. There's something that was eating at me last week, but we decided to cover it this week because it's more a little bit outside the fringe of what we normally think about. But maybe you guys have seen this video. It's going around after I talk about it. You could look it up. But it's this lady who calls a church, and she called a bunch of churches, and she basically has a crying baby in the background. And the baby is crying. You hear it. It sounds like an actual baby if you're picking up the call. And she calls churches. She says,
It's not an actual baby, though.
It's not an actual baby. But it sounds like an actual baby. It's the person picking up the phone, and she calls the churches, and the church secretary or the church, I don't think secretary is appropriate anymore, office assistant or a pastor or someone answers. And she was pretty upset because not a lot of people gave her the help that she was wanting in that scenario. So let's just start there. So Pastor Ryan, do you want to start like you get a call like that, or do you have something to say about the setup?
I mean, we get calls all the time.
Okay,
our church does. We get probably, I'd say like between 5 and 10, sometimes a week, sometimes every 2 weeks, about that time frame, of people who are needing help or saying at least that they need help. A lot of times it's people that are like, hey, can you pay for my hotel room? Hey, that kind of stuff. Sometimes we've even had people come by. I've had people stop at our church and say, hey, I need gas. Mm-hmm. And there have been times where I'm like, hey, I'll run up to the gas station with you. We'll get some gas. We could take care of that. Now what we do is, since I'm not here all the time and we have our preschool, they have access to gift cards. So people can get that kind of stuff sometimes, not all the time. But yeah, a situation like that where you have someone who calls up.
Well, just so people know, you said sometimes, we are a small church too, just so you know, we're not large. Like, what's our congregation size?
No, we have on a Sunday anywhere between 50 and 60 people.
Yes.
So we're not a very large church. But if someone were to call and that kind of situation were to happen, we would try to handle it as best we could, because you have to remember that churches are not, we're not loan opportunities. We're not banks. We don't have unlimited funds. And we have a responsibility to use the funds that are given to the church for the purposes that they're given. Mm-hmm. And so, most of the time with that kind of stuff, it's too difficult to actually determine whether or not it's a real situation. Mm-hmm. Because as you find out in that video, it's not a real situation. Mm-hmm. It's just a woman who was going around testing people and to see who would help, which is not very fair, to be honest. It's a very, I know it's kind of like we're testing you out, but it's just not fair to most churches who have these responsibilities to the people who donate, to the people who are giving for particular reasons. What most churches do with funds to help people who are outside of the church is they actually support ministries like crisis pregnancy centers, food pantries. We do one that's a community center, Koinonia, in our area, and they're able to do to those organizations who have more ability to actually walk alongside that person and figure out what's going on in their life. Because, in that situation, they say, I just need some baby formula. Mm-hmm. Can you please give me baby formula? Our response would have been, we would love to help you. Let me connect you with our crisis pregnancy center that has not just baby formula, but they're going to be able to help you with diapers. They're going to be able to help you with all this other stuff that's going to actually fill in whatever you really need, and they're going to be able to casework with you. And we do have volunteers that have been part of our crisis pregnancy center and done stuff with them. But this lady that did the video, she didn't accept that. She would always mark it down as not helping if you referred out. So unfortunately, with this video, there's two separate issues.
Yeah, two different categories, which I think is important. One, which we can talk about as believers in the sort of abstract. Somebody calls you, that's the scenario, what do you do? But I think it is kind of like Pastor Ryan was saying, it's kind of unfair because really if you just deal with this actual article, this actual person, this actual video, she's getting upset because people didn't go along with her lie. Right? Like, not enough people believed her lie or went with her lie to satisfy her emotionally. I mean, I understand the crying baby background noise, which was not a real baby, all the different things. And so I think rather than deal with the article itself, which I think is poorly framed and emotionally manipulative, let's just talk about, well, if somebody was in that actual circumstance, let's talk about it that way.
So here it is. Someone calls you at the church.
Somebody calls us.
You're here, Reed, and there's an actual crying baby, and there's a lady who's like, hey, I have no money. I just ran out of formula last night. Can you please help NDOT?
Yeah.
What would you
So I'm going to say, let's talk a couple of things that are important to know about churches, and then some things that we would do, right? Because Pastor Ryan already said we would partner with our local crisis pregnancy center, which we have a very good ongoing relationship. But first thing to know about churches is most of them do not keep money or resources in the building. Mm-hmm. So whoever you're reaching and whoever you're talking to at a church, first of all, if they're not a pastor or somebody who is more mobile in terms of their ability to get to places, they're not going to be able to immediately get you resources, and they're not going to necessarily know beyond the resources that the church has instructed that person to point people to where to go, right? You're talking to probably a volunteer in some cases. Maybe you talk directly to a pastor, or maybe you get up through the chain to talk to a pastor. But
someone who could do something about it.
Somebody who could do something about it. But the person who you're initially talking to is not likely to be that person, just on first occasion. Combine that with the fact that they don't have resources on site. Most churches are not going to have baby formula there. That would have to be an extra purchase. The expectation and the refusal to accept any passing on or partnering with other organizations, that would be a red flag if I'm having a conversation with the person and I say, we partner with this crisis pregnancy. Let me direct you to their local office. This is where you can get that help. You can get that. And they say, I tried them. It's already out, which was the response. I would have an immediate red flag because I know and work with those people. They're not out. Yeah. They're not out. Are you sure you talked to the right person?
Even if they were out, they would still help.
They would get you formula. Yeah. Go there, meet me there. I will make sure you get formula.
Can we name drop the one that's here in Northern Virginia?
It's called Mosaic.
Mosaic is the ministry that we partner with specifically. And so that would be a really great resource. And we would point people in that direction. And that's the same thing that we do oftentimes. Our area is very unique. I don't think this is the case in all places. And so different areas have different issues when it regards to this. So we have a sort of an organized amount of begging and homeless people within our area. They are not people that are needy or desperate in the sense that we can help them on a regular basis.
We're right outside of D.C.
Right outside of D.C., very urban area, and they are organized. They rotate who's on what corner to beg from. They have agreements amongst the people in terms of where they beg from and different things like that. And they have circuits that they work through. And so, as Pastor Ryan was saying, we get so many calls a week or a month. A lot of those are on repeat. Mm-hmm. We'll talk to the same people. In fact, it's so entrenched. I remember a time when my dad, who pastored in this area a while back, he bumped into the same guy here at our church 30 years after having to deal with the guy when he came to church in this area before, asking for the same things, and nothing had changed. Mm-hmm. This is just what this man did on Sunday mornings. He would go and he had a cycle. He had churches that he would work through, and he would change the circuit once churches began to cut him off or to give qualifications to the giving that they were offering towards him, the assistance, and so he would then go to a different place. Mm-hmm. And so it was just a funny overlap, an intersection of oh, he's back, and my father, who had ministered to him before, recognized him and was like, "You're still, 30 years later, you're still doing this exact same thing." Mm-hmm. The same spiel, all the same stuff, and churches need to recognize that and just have some discernment in terms of you have to vet, you have to make sure that the people who really need help are getting help. Mm-hmm. In our area specifically, that's why we partner so much with external groups outside of the church building. One, because they have better ability to work through the cases on a case by case. They can vet it. But two, also, we have a preschool. And so we, for the security of our preschoolers and our teachers and our parents, we can't be an open center of people coming for that kind of aid on a regular basis.
Background checked. Yeah. These are things that people don't normally think about.
They don't normally think about. Yeah.
That they know that's why a church may refuse, not just to. I don't think churches refuse to help, but they don't help you the way you want to be helped, right?
Yeah.
Or the way that society can go oh, yes, they did the Christian thing. And that's a whole nother topic. What Christ would do and what the world thinks Christ would do is a whole different topic, right?
Yeah.
I still often look at that verse when he calls Peter a devil. I'm like, what? Can y'all imagine looking at someone saying that? But anyways.
Can you imagine Jesus saying that to you?
Yeah.
I think I can imagine Jesus because he knows everything, right? But just I can't imagine what I'd do if I saw you say someone in the congregation outside be like, "You devil, get behind me." I'd be like, I hope he was totally in the spirit and I was totally of God, because that is scary.
Listen, I've had people call me names all the time.
Oh, yeah. I've had people call me names, but I'm saying
but when the Son of God himself calls me Satan.
Yes, that's hard.
I've got problems.
I'm with you, but I was saying if you did that, look at someone said that, I'll be
if
like,
I did that, yeah.
So let's talk about this. So this is interesting. We dived in kind of the next thing I want to talk about. So this video, we get this call, like you said. So you get a call. There's a lady, and she has a baby. And what I hear is there needs to be discernment and how you're receiving that. But we don't want to step out of love ever. So it needs to be a loving response, even if we think we're being scammed or it's suspect, as we pass it on to Mosaic or something like that. Yeah. Now this is and is that correct?
Yeah.
So discernment and okay.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add?
So it's also interesting because again we're getting into two different things. If someone just called you randomly, that's another thing too. If someone calls a church randomly, we have a system that's already set up to
Are you looking at my notes? That's where I was going.
But no, I'm just thinking philosophically.
Okay, you got it. That's where I'm going.
Because it is different when you call a church, which people call churches because they believe churches are there to help people, which is true, but they want it to be done a particular way, which churches most of the time are not set up to do, or that they're just not able to do the way that the person wants it. We actually years ago several years ago, we tried a benevolence fund that was meant for those outside of our church.
Can we take a break right there? I was going to get to there because maybe some people are listening that aren't believers and they don't understand how churches get money. How do you even get money? Does the government give us money? No. How do you get money? And what's
the government tries to take as much money from us as they can.
I just wanted to understand that there are some givers who maybe give towards a specific thing.
Yeah, so the church receives funds from the members of the church, the local congregants. Different denominations have different sort of structures and hierarchies, but for us as a local church, we are an assembly of believers who all of their own free will give an amount of their money that they receive from paychecks, from whatever, and they give that money towards the church to fund the different things that the church is doing. And sometimes that can be directed. They can say, I want to give this money in order to fix the fence. I want to give this money in order to patch the parking lot. Or sometimes they may give it towards a specific missionary, or sometimes they just give it and say, let the church use it as the church needs it. And so the church receives those funds. Depending on how it's designated, those funds will go into different directions. For example, Mosaic Ministry, we support them financially. We give some of the money that we take in towards Mosaic, and people can direct their giving to us, to them. And we partner with them in that way. That money goes to them. None of the money stays here in the building, right? There's no place here where that's going to get stored, and for most churches, that's the case. It goes to the different places, and
our bank would be very upset with us if we kept cash in the building.
Yeah,
and so would our insurance company.
And then some of the money goes to, just real quick, some of the money goes to the pastors, and it should, because y'all have families, y'all can't do this full time for free.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and that's the case
staff.
That's the case for our church to pay for different things, whether it's pay and to help support the pastor, whether that's to pay. We hire a lot of part-time work in terms of work on the building, in terms of different things like that. And so
we have to pay our gas bill.
Electric bill.
So there's a lot of bills. There's a lot of places this money goes. But real quick, why do people give to the church? Why would a Christian give to the church? Well, because we're asked to, right? There's tithes and there's offerings, right? Is there a big difference in your mind between tithes and offerings? So tithes, go ahead.
Yeah. I think that really, to make it as simple as possible for the average person, just be thinking about it in terms of giving, that the giving that you're doing out of your financial ability is based on you offering it up to God in worship, and that worship is dedicating all of what you have and your resources to the Lord. Right, to say, Jesus, because I believe that you have redeemed me, because I believe that you died for me and that I belong to you, everything that I have belongs to you. And so if everything I have belongs to you, what's a way that I can show you that? I give you sort of a token, an offering.
There you go, yes.
All right, and so the word tithe, that 10% that we see in the Old Testament, that's a good benchmark. It's a good idea, goal. It's not a legalistic thing, right? It's not a rule to say, well, every person should give 10%. But it's a really good benchmark to say, I should dedicate the first bit of whatever I receive from my paycheck in acknowledgement of the fact that God enabled me to work that job, and an acknowledgement of how good God has been to me. I'm going to dedicate that, and I'm going to give it through the local church for the local ministry of that body, right? And so you can also give and give your offerings in a lot of other different ways. A lot of people give to the local church because the local church has those connections, has those partnerships.
Got it.
So they might say, you know what, I like what Life Community Church is doing because they're partnering with Mosaic Ministry. They're partnering and doing this ministry over here where they're doing Awana. I want to support that. They're doing this in the community. And as a result of wanting to do those different things, I want to support the church as a whole in the giving of my offerings before the Lord to that work that he's doing.
I think that explains it really well. So we'll go back to that. Explained really well. Thank you, because that way some people are like, "How do you get money? How does the church get money?" All right. So going back to the thing, you get a call, Ryan, and they need help. What's the difference between you being a church and you being a person? And also, feel free to dive into a phone call versus someone right in front of you on a street corner. Yep.
Phone calls are going to be tough because that'll be really weird why someone would have your phone number and then that you don't know asking you for something.
Or maybe reach out on Facebook, right? Something that's not face-to-face and then something face-to-face.
Yeah,
Is there a different how that you handle that?
It would,
As an individual.
I
They
would,
wouldn't have your
as an
number.
individual, I would handle it the same way that most churches do. Say, I'm going to direct you this way.
Okay.
If it's someone face-to-face and you have the ability to help, then most of the time I think that that's a good thing to do. But you have to use discernment.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a difference between someone who is truly needy and truly in need and someone who is possibly, I mean, right now in our area, one of the biggest difficulties is we have a lot of human trafficking, and they use people to beg on the streets to further profit through human trafficking. So a lot of the homeless ministries or homeless organizations, the people who helped out the homeless in this area, they say don't give to people who are begging on the street because it's either going to fund some sort of illicit activity like human trafficking or their own drug or alcohol habits. But also sometimes there's just a discernment. I had a guy come up to me, I think we talked about this at one point, in the parking lot, and he was bugging everybody. And I was worried that he was going to get violent if he didn't get anything. So I just gave him the change that I had.
Okay.
And I just used my discernment in that moment because then he left. He left the area. That's the discernment that you have. Sometimes what I'll do is I also have packages of like socks and snacks and different things that are needed for people who are on the street. And I say, I don't have money, but I do have this. That actually becomes a really good way to suss people out, whether they're really needy or not. Because I've done that with people, and sometimes they're like, oh, thank you so much. And then other times they're like, I don't want that, I want money. And then you're like, I mean, but this is, I don't need that. And then they walk away from it and you go, okay, well, I did what I could.
Yes.
So again, there's always going to be the element of discernment. There's always going to be the element of being wise in how you're dealing with people. And I think that as an individual, you can still use some of the same things that churches do, who try to filter people to places that really can help. Because it's not just because you don't give someone money out of your pocket, which most people barely carry cash anytime right now, just because you're not doing that doesn't mean that by directing them to a place that can help them, that is helping them. That is the best way that you can do that. So I'd encourage you to know the organizations in the area that are able to do that and provide more help than just the immediate right there. If it's literally a crying baby in a mother's arms, I mean, I think that you would be okay to help that mom out. Does that mean you put her in your car and take her to Target?
Wherever the Lord leads, yeah.
I don't know. Got to use your discernment there. I
Yes.
think that there's some dangers with that.
And are you a married guy? Should you be putting a girl in your car?
Right,
Yeah, there's a lot to go over there.
Put her
It's
in the
not
truck
easy.
bed. It's all right. Put her in the
There's
back
a
of your
lot,
truck.
but yeah. I personally have a firm policy. I do not hand out cash.
Yeah.
I do not hand out cash to anybody. If they need a meal, I'm like, hey, I'll go get you, because there's so many restaurants. I'm like, I'll go get you something here. I have kids, so I have snacks in the back. I have water in the back.
Yep.
But you're right. When you go to hand out something that's physical, it's a good test to see if that's
Do you actually have a real need?
a real need. Yeah. So I think personally, I try to answer with even if it's on the phone or something. I don't always do this. This is our goal, right? As a church goal, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Being in the church, a person, right? A Christian is to answer with compassion and wisdom, right? Because another thing is too, you can't just go out giving all your money, right? Because then maybe people really need it, and you're like, I have none, right? Reed, do you have anything to add to that? If someone asks you for help, is there some things you look at?
I mean, I think that those are all good principles. I do think there's a big difference, of course, between talking to a person on the phone versus seeing a person in person.
They could be in India, right, on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. You don't know. And so I think asking lots of questions is a big part of it. And that's not to be annoying. It's not to try and catch them in something, but just like, okay, like I hear the crying baby. I hear this person talking to me on the phone. Okay, where are you?
Like, how did you get my number?
How did you get, I'm
Maybe
assuming.
calling from Alexandria,
I'm assuming
Louisiana.
from,
Wanting help.
Yeah, I mean, really. I mean, there's this area, like whether it's the street or like Fairfax or whatever, all these little areas within Northern Virginia, they get confused with other areas around the country a lot. And so, like, okay, where are you? Are you close to the church? Are you, like, if I said, yeah, I have formula, well, I mean, where are you even? Like, can you
Get here.
Can you even get here? If you don't have formula, do you have a car seat? Do you have a car? Do you have, I want to help, but like, how can I help? How are you able to be helped? am I really a person who's going to be able to help you? Like, if you can't get to Mosaic, who are going to have way more baby formula than I have and have way more knowledge about what kind of baby formula you need than I have, I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do. And so trying to reach out and ask those questions. Now, if they're right in front of you, you can ask those questions right there. And I think that is going to be good.
Yes. I think another thing, too, going to Mosaic and stuff, I say this all the time. Mosaic is a pregnancy help center. So I always encourage people, not just to pray for them to save babies, right, because they're pro-life, but it does no good for a mom and a baby to be saved and not aborted, but they don't know Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So and that's another thing. So this lady, we're guys up here, right, obviously, right? So we don't know too much about... I don't know why any woman would come to me for ministry, right? They can go, like, Mosaic's a great place because these ladies will love them. They can also fill out, I think they have questionnaires there, if I remember right, on what's going on, and then they can get classes.
Yeah.
And if they're needing baby formula right in that moment, there's a good chance they're probably going to need it a few weeks from now, too.
Yeah.
And then so they're right there, they're connected with a resource who is able to help them and get them on the right track. So there's just a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah.
I think... And a personal note, I don't think any of us wouldn't walk and try to, if we're right next to a store, buy formula for someone right there or something, or diapers, right? But when you get it on the phone, it is a little bit like, how do we know these people?
Well, and a big piece, too, I would encourage people to be very cautious if you're talking to a person in person, face-to-face.
If they don't have a baby or whatever.
Where are you? Is there an accountability immediate? Like, are you in a public place? Don't go somewhere where you're going to be in a secluded place with a person who's asking for something, right? Don't be alone with them. Make sure that you're safe because you don't know who this person is. And first of all, the best case scenario, if you're around people, if you're in a public setting, if you're going somewhere where you're seeing where there is that accountability, more people are going to be able to help, right? If that person really needs help, more people are going to be able to help, right? And, if it was not legitimate, if people were looking to harm you, you'll be more protected that way. And so that's really, really important. In fact, I would probably encourage all young ladies, if you are by yourself, you should absolutely give nothing, and you should absolutely get somewhere where you are in a public place where you have an extra degree of protection and accountability for you specifically. And so... That would be the distinction that I would make in terms of in a person there who you find yourself face to face with, and they're asking you for who knows what.
Yeah, if you're if you're a Christian, you have the Holy Spirit living inside of you, and I think we overlook this quite a few times. But if you're there in a situation and you just feel like in your spirit, or you get a feeling that something's not right, there will be opportunities to help again. It's okay to say no and not help in that moment. If you think you're being scammed, something doesn't seem right, like you said, someone calls you, it just doesn't feel right. It is okay. I don't think Jesus is like, oh, you missed it, chopped you. Right?
Yeah, and I think it's really important because I think a lot of people struggle with the guilt of not helping. You're not supposed to act in Christian love based on guilt. You're not supposed to just say, well, I'm going to feel really guilty
if you don't help.
If I don't help. That is not good enough reason.
Yeah, what happens if this baby dies and then she's like, I tried calling 14 places. Yep.
It's you're not ultimately responsible for everything that happens to this individual or what this individual's life has been like. No matter how bad they make you feel about their situation, you are responsible to God about how you use your finances, how you steward that. So like if you have, if you're going, this is this thing I always think about is like, I've got $20 in my wallet, but that $20 I know I need to use for my baby's formula, And some people would say, well, the Christian thing to do would be to give that to some other baby. And it's like, no. My responsibility is to my family first, then to help those with what I have extra. And too many times we get wrapped up into, I want other people to view me as a good Christian, rather than being attached to and being concerned with whether or not God views you as a good Christian. Be concerned with God and how He views you, and not the world, which is another thing that I had problems with. The article and the whole social experiment and everything, it was much more about the gaze of the world than it was about the gaze of Christ. because Christ has laid out for us in his word how he expects us to work and how he expects us to be and how he expects us to use the finances that we have and how he expects us to help those who are in need. He's already given it to us in the instructions and the wisdom on how we're supposed to be. So we need to be aware and concerned more so with God's view of how we are and what we're doing than the people who are around us.
Jesus made plenty of people mad, right?
Yeah.
Making people mad is not unchristian. Like,
yeah,
it matters why you are and what you're doing, right?
Yep.
One thing I'll say too, and maybe y'all see this too. I think when you first become a Christian, you're really concerned about your own salvation, right? Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, right? You're like, God's loving, or like, I just don't want to go to hell, or whatever reason, right? You seek Christ, and it's very selfish. It's kind of selfish. It's like, I want these things, right? And then I think as you mature, you're like, oh, there's other Christians. All right, let's go outward now. But I think the ultimate goal in the Christian life, in my opinion, I may be wrong, but correct me if I'm, is like, hey, I just want to do what God wants me to do.
Yeah.
I can't help everybody, but I just want to help. I want to do what God wants me to do, and I believe he wants me to help this. There's an open door for me to do this ministry. So I got an opportunity right now to help with Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Oh, nice.
And I got very, my wife and I were talking about it, and I just really seen these news stories with these kids. There was an event here where troubled kid stabbed his mom and dad and things, and I'm like, man, these kids just really need help. And my wife's like, Frankie, you have an open door, Fellowship of Christianity. Mm-hmm. Not going down the rec center talking to people about Jesus. There's no open doors there right now for you. You're going to make one, but just concentrate on what it's given you, right? You can't help everybody. And so that's how she keeps me in line. And it's right. You might go help people for Jesus over here, but God's calling you over here. Yeah. You need to follow those open doors.
Yeah. It one of the things that is so true about the desire to do good, the desire to help others, is that sometimes you get so broad, you're like, I want to help the whole world.
Yep.
Well, you're probably not going to be able to do that. Yep. You know who you could help, though? Person you live next to.
Your neighbor, yeah.
The people you interact with on a daily basis.
The people you live with.
People you live with.
Right. It's a great tragedy that people sometimes get so impassioned and so consumed with helping people that are far off, that are very distant, and they neglect the people that they share home with, their own household. I think that's one of the reasons why the Bible talks about leaders within the church. One of the measures of whether or not a person is going to be a good leader in the church is, do they manage their household well? Mm-hmm. Because if they understand how to love the people in their house well, they're going to then be able to know how to manage and help love the people outside their house well.
That's right? Timothy, right? When they're talking about elders?
Yeah,
Timothy.
Yeah. Qualifications for an elder.
Mm-hmm. So, but that idea of ministering, don't step over people in order to reach somebody to minister to. Mm-hmm. And too many Christians have that mindset, and have had that mindset within our country, especially, I think, over the last decade or two, is people have been so impassioned about the idea of missions, which is good, but they've been blind to the mission that's right here, to reaching the people that are their neighbors, to the people that live next door, that work with you. So much of our culture has emphasized so strongly the separation of church and state, they say, but really it's church from the public sphere, right? No. Don't talk about Jesus in your workplace. Don't talk about Jesus where you are, in your neighborhood. Don't talk about Jesus here. You can talk about Jesus in church on Sundays with people who already agree, but don't talk. And the church was so busy sending out people and doing missions and stuff like that, that many churches forgot to be ministering to their local communities. And so that emphasis, minister to your home, minister to the community that's around you, do those things. And then as that goes out, now I think of that phone call that comes in to the church, that person that is nearby the church that you can help out with, like, that's a pretty close extension that we could try to help, right? We may not have the flexibility, and we may not do it in the way that they're going to like. That's really a big key, right? If there's going to be an extension of aid, if there's going to be the extension of trying to help people, we're going to actually want to help. We're going to actually want to be in that person's life and assisting them and seeking to have God's love come into their life. Not a one-time thing, not a here's this, stop bothering me. I did my good deed. I gave them what they asked for. We want them to be well. We want them to experience the fullness that God has for them, which is much more than just money for formula or whatever. Yeah.
It's a meal that keeps giving. One thing you're talking about, I'm going to ask you this question. Jesus talks about, what would you say to someone who's like, hey, this seems selfish when I read my Bible, and it says church first. You should give it unto your brothers and sisters first, and then outward, right? I can't remember the exact verse, but it's when Jesus is talking. Do you know what I'm talking about? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think going to, not trying to step over.
No, you're fine. You're good.
But Reed said something that he said, we're so focused on mission. It's because we've forgotten what Augustine taught us, which is the order of love. That we need to have a proper order of love, which starts with God first. So God is our primary and ultimate love that we are supposed to have in our life. Then it goes to our family and those who are immediate kin, those who are the people that we have duty towards. Then it goes to the church and all Christians. Specifically first your local church, then to the church broader, so Christians across the world, and then it goes to those who are outside the church. And so what we need to do is we need to make sure that our love, affection, and effort is not disordered. It's not out of order, that we don't go, oh, you know what, I'm going to spend much more time, effort, and whatever I have on the people that are farthest away from me.
Takes a lot of effort. Yeah.
It's you're going to do what Reed says. You're going to be stepping over people in order to get. It's kind of like you're in a plane and the it's crashing and you have the little oxygen masks come down and you're like, that person way down there doesn't have their oxygen mask on, and your kid next to you is struggling to get theirs on, and you like push your kid out of the way to go, I gotta go get over to them.
That lady has a baby. Yeah.
But that one has a crying baby over there. Like, what do they tell you to do? Put yours on first, then help the people that are near you. Don't try to help others because you can't. So it's not to say that those things, missions, especially like thinking about, people across the world, we have missionaries that are doing great things.
Yeah. And we support a lot of them here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Missions is beautiful. It's wonderful. But we don't want to sacrifice the mission that's right in front of us in order to try and reach for something that God maybe has for somebody else.
Yeah.
Just like, I think, Ryan, you said it, that the idea that it doesn't depend on you, right? Like the ultimate welfare of this person doesn't depend solely on you as an individual. That's also true for the local church. Like the ultimate welfare for all of the globe doesn't depend on Life Community Church Alexandria. But God put us here in this local area for a reason, to be able to minister.
It'd be odd to come in and Pastor Ryan's like, in Africa, something happened, church. We're getting up. We're gearing up. We're going to sell the building. We're going there.
Well, or if I were just like, I'm leaving y'all. Like that would be more personal. And that would be like, whoa, what is going on? And, it's kind of crazy that we have had that kind of focus where we want to feel like we're doing something grand, right? We want to feel like, that we're a part of something that is amazing and awesome, but we think the horrible thing is that we think that the big grand things are all out there. No, the big grand things are actually closest to you. The big grand things are your family, your church, the people that you are in direct contact with. That's the big grand stuff. The other stuff is when God actually empowers you to go do those things. And also, they're not to be, the ones that are closest to you are not to be sacrificed in order to go do those things.
Amen.
This is why, Paul says that it's better not to get married if you're going to be a minister, because you're going to have to pay attention to your wife.
Yeah.
And he's not saying that it's a bad thing to be married. He's just saying you've got to order things properly when you are married.
Yes.
And, I don't know if maybe that... So there's a part of me, it's God's word. I don't think that this is true at all. But there's this little fleshly part of me that's like, maybe his wife left him. And he was like, man, it's just better to not be married to be in ministry because then you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff.
Your responsibility probably increased when you had a son too, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I know they're going to increase, and then it happens. You're like, whoa, I didn't realize it was going to be like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like you just threw up all over my sermon notes.
That hasn't happened.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I exactly.
There's still time, Mike.
Did that happen to you? No. Okay.
He doesn't let them anywhere near
Yeah,
the
that's
sermon notes.
right.
He goes, this is Daddy's area.
So when you were talking about that, I think also there's a society. It's in church too, right? We want the microwave effect too. That's why I think conferences are big. Like people want to feel like that music and the newness and the feeling, and everybody's in the spirit or with Christ or however you want to term it, right? And it's just like emotional high, right? But the real Christianity is slow. It's boring. It takes a while to change. You deal with. I remember when I was working in a homeless ministry in Fort Worth. Shout out Beautiful Feet Ministries, great place in Fort Worth. But I was working there, and you have these people who come in day after day, and they need discipleship, and they don't know if they're going to go back or not, and it takes years. And some of them come out, some don't.
Yep.
But that's just as much of God's calling as someone walks in, finds Christ, turns into a missionary, goes to prisons, and starts telling people about God. It's the same in God's eyes. Are you faithful to what He's calling you to do, despite what you're seeing?
Yeah.
If it's slow, and same thing with your family, right? It's not always fun. Sometimes it's monotonous, right? And so just encouragement to Christians: don't go for the big show, laser lights, or whatever, like the cool testimony. I think some people get this too, and I think we talked about it. Some people want the amazing testimony, tatted up, have all this, found Jesus, and we're just boring guys.
Yeah. And, everybody that has those compelling testimonies, that's what I'm going to call them, compelling.
Compelling, okay.
They all say, no, you don't want this one. Like,
You don't
want this testimony.
There's scars, right? You don't see.
I mean, we always think that we're missing out on something, but man, what a blessing it is to have a boring testimony.
Yeah.
I was a sinner, saved by grace. That seems boring to us. That is amazing. That is such a beautiful thing. You've been brought from death to life. Like, why are you not excited about that? You think, but like Paul, he was holding the coats of everybody killing a guy.
Yeah.
Why do you want that as part of your story? Like, I feel like there's something wrong with you if you want that as part of your story. I used to be drugged out of my mind. I didn't know what was in front of me. I didn't know who my friends were. Why would you want that? Be so grateful that God said, you know what, you were messed up enough, okay? You were messed up enough, and I saved you out of that. Praise God, that's glorious, that's good. So.
Well, I'm going to ask one more question, and whichever one of you has an answer first can go with it, and then the other one can reply. So what do you say to someone who's, I hear this a lot when I go and evangelize, like, so we're talking about gratitude, Jesus, we lay this out. I may have a two-part question. I may come back to this too. But when he lays out the Sermon on the Mount and he says, give to those who ask. So it seems like that's the only requirement if you just read that and just highlight that verse. Give to those who ask. Someone comes up and asks, they go, hey, Frankie, like your van there, it's a nice, holds your wife and your kids. Can I have it? Is a Christian response should it be yes because you asked for it, or how should we view that verse?
So we can't read the verse woodenly, okay? Too many of the verses that you read, if you read them in a wooden way, you are not going to be getting what is going on. What is Jesus talking about in that section? Last week we talked about this a little bit because Jesus was talking about how the personal slights that are given towards us are not to be retaliated against. So when someone asks something of you, there's usually like this personal slight that's happening. Like, what, you want me to take my time out of my day to help you and to give you something? That's a personal slight. If they are coming and asking for your house, that's just them trying to rob you. Okay. Jesus doesn't say be robbed at all times. Yes. But make sure that you are an open target for thieves, because you being robbed is not just you being robbed. Jesus is not saying when you get struck on the cheek, offer your other cheek. He doesn't say if your wife gets struck on the cheek, turn her cheek as well so that she can be struck again. Yeah. That's not what is going on. So it's not doing things that are going to harm the people that you are responsible for. So if they're asking for your car, your whatever it is that also is used to benefit your family and to do things for you. Can't do that because you have a responsibility to them first.
Sacrificing, yes.
Yeah. So what Jesus is talking about is don't take personal slights at people asking things of you. If they ask, give as you can, essentially. Jesus is not being wooden and just saying, if the person says the magic words, give it to me. That's not what he's saying.
Every toddler will be happy all over earth, right?
Yeah. But it's one of those things that when you take the verse out of context and out of the scripture, it's going to sound like, wow, that sounds like just a way for us to be a doormat. Jesus doesn't say be a doormat. Jesus wasn't a doormat. He wasn't.
Yeah, and I mean, it's set really within the context. He moves on later to talk about loving your enemies, right? Praying for those who persecute you. And so this is an idea of people who are taking advantage of you more than it's about just the random beggar who's on the street. But yeah, even tied in with that too, you were talking about, don't turn your wife's cheek or somebody else, right?
If you believe that, you want to tell your fiance before you marry her. 'Cause she wants to know if you're going to turn her other cheek.
Yeah. But also, don't seek it out either, right? I heard somebody slapping cheeks out here. Don't go seek it out. Don't go. Hey, I heard that people are getting persecuted. I want
to get persecuted.
I heard. Where's that going? Is that happening nearby? Can I go ahead and get in on that? Don't do that either, right? And so, when it comes to being suffering as a result of persecution, whether it's directed or indirected, struggling with the difficulties, different challenges of working with local government or officials or different things for the church, I'm thinking specifically. Don't seek it out, but suffer well when you suffer, right? When it gives you those encouragements to trust the Lord, to pray for those who persecute you, to give to those who ask in that way. Don't seek it out either.
Got it. I think those are great points. I was going to say one other thing. So another thing that we moved to Matthew 5, we went to Matthew 6, and it talks about doing your good deeds in secret. Why is it a big deal that we should do some good deeds in secret and other things openly, but why should we do that in secret?
I'll try to be quick because we're going to try to wrap up.
Run out of time, yeah.
But so the secrecy of doing what you're doing, the good things that you do, is so that you don't get the glory. This is when you do good. It is, again, not about the world's gaze upon you. There was a phrase that was going around amongst church people a while ago, the world is watching, which was used in a way to kind of say, hey, we need to do the right thing here according to what the world sees us doing.
God sees it too.
And that is the wrong perspective to take. The world is watching, yes, always. But we are not supposed to take their opinion into consideration when it comes to what we do. We need to take into consideration, well, let me say it this way. There is a little bit of understanding that we don't want to do things that are going to besmirch Christ.
Yes.
The world is watching. We don't want to do something that would be contrary to him. But that's because the Lord is watching. The Lord sees us. He knows our hearts. He knows what we're doing. The Lord watches. The Lord sees. Don't think that anything that you do is ever going to escape his gaze. Now, when Christ says, when you give, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. The whole point is so that you don't get glory for doing this great thing, that you don't get the praise of men, because when you get the praise of men, that's your reward.
It's kind of like the Pharisees.
Yep, that's your reward. You are going to be rewarded by everybody thinking that you're great. And then you're going to be tempted now to get more of that praise. And that's why you're going to start doing the things. And then they're going to say, it'd be really great if you did this. And you go, oh, really? It'd be really great if I did that? All right, I'll do that now. Because I really need your applause. This is everyone on Twitter. Or X, as it's called. X. You make a tweet because you're like, somebody's going to laugh at this. I do this on occasion.
Okay.
I go, this is going to be a hilarious tweet. And then I go, what does the Lord think about this? And I go, maybe don't tweet that. Or delete afterwards. You go, I need to delete that one. We need to be careful. because the Lord is watching. We don't need to be careful because the world is watching.
Yep.
So
I kind of take that as a game. So like I try to do good deeds when no one knows about it, and I really think I'm gonna get like a reward in heaven. So it's kind of selfish to be honest, because I feel like that verse I kind of translate it. What's not rewarded here on earth will be rewarded in heaven, right? So I'm like, hey, and then the worst thing can happen. Like someone notices, like Frankie, I appreciate you. Like, oh, he just took my reward.
okay, so that part I would say don't worry about that. Because it's not if someone discovers
funny,
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
If someone discovers you doing something that you get
You just stop and you run away.
It's like Willy Wonka. You get nothing. Good day, sir.
Well, I mean, the president of
He saw you.
the spotlight stops on you, you just immediately freeze. Like,
That's great.
so that's the way you can view it. Try not to be caught. All right, anything you want to add? Closing remarks?
None for me tonight.
I'm glad you're back. Glad you're feeling well.
Yeah.
Looking well. You're not matching your shirt. You're not yellow.
I'm not yellow.
Feeling better. All right. Well, we'll close up. Pastor Ryan, you want to close this in prayer? And this will close up.
Just a little house cleaning. Next
Okay,
week, we won't have a regular podcast. So I'm going to try and do an audio only podcast so that we will fill in the gap.
We can't watch you eating turkey. That'd be a cool video.
That'd be pretty funny. But
Cooking the turkey.
What's that?
Cooking the turkey.
Cooking the turkey.
4
I'm
hour
not
long.
doing that. I'm not doing that one.
We're trying to get people to watch our show.
Yeah, and then coming up over the Christmas break, we're going to come up with some ways to kind of keep you engaged with the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they are going to be yet, but stay tuned to that.
We can talk about the greatest present, Jesus.
Yeah,
There's always more than enough to talk about.
Yeah, there's tons to talk
Yes.
about, but I'm just talking. We won't have the normal podcast. We'll be doing some
Okay,
different
got it.
stuff over Christmas break.
Okay.
We will. I'm also considering doing some blogging.
Okay.
So you should definitely check out the blog, Prone to Blog. It's on the website. You'll be able to find it.
Eddie's doing that now. I think
Eddie has been producing at least one a month. But I'm thinking about doing some blogs on Christmas carols.
Okay.
Talking about history.
The
of
history.
Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be good.
So yeah, it's gonna be it'll be interesting. We'll see if I can do it with while Micah's sleeping on me and stuff. It'll be good stuff like that. But
Should be great.
so it might be misspelled. We'll blame Micah for that, not just because I'm a terrible
Yeah.
speller.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Micah.
Reed, you've known me too long.
I was just thinking, I don't know how you explained the couple decades before that. But
It was me preparing for Micah.
All right. You know, close this out in prayer.
Sure.
Oh, and lastly, housekeeping. If you have a question, just go on the church app, right? LCCA app.
My LCCA.
My LCCA app. And you can ask a question there. We'll try to get to it on the podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for this time that we've had discussing generosity, wisdom, discernment, discussing the proper order of love that we should have. God, I just pray that all who are listening, all who are watching, that you'd be with them, that you'd take what we've discussed and that you'd allow it to be a great benefit to them. Allow any of the silliness that we might have had, our own opinions or anything, to fade away, and only the truth of your word to remain. God, we are grateful for this opportunity. We are thankful for everyone who helps out to get this podcast done. And God, I pray that all of this was done for your glory and that you would be lifted high because of it. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
man.
Go in peace.
Thank you to the media team here at LCCA. For extra content, including extended episodes and video, download the My LCCA app and check it out. You can find the app in the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, or the Amazon App Store. Prefer to watch or listen on a web browser? You can access the show on our website at lifeccalexandria.org/P2P. That's the letter P, the number 2, and then the letter P. You can also find all of our links in the show notes below and a link to a form to ask your own questions. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time here on the Prone to Ponder podcast.